I love Mario Party. I mean, who doesn't, besides whoever's currently in 4th place? It's probably the most iconic party game series of all time, and probably holds the record for the pettiest cause for friendships breaking up. 4 players rolling dice to move around a board, landing on spaces and playing minigames to collect coins, using those coins to buy stars in order to win. A mix of skill, strategy, and luck. It's a tried and true formula, one that has been experienced by multiple generations of players through over 15 different games, and one that has certainly never changed. Okay, so something really strange happened between Mario Party 8 and 9. Like, what's with this 5-year gap between games that was the longest in the series' history? Well, from the very first game, the series had been developed by Hudson Soft, who is also responsible for the Bomberman series and Bonk. Incredible. So this is the studio that made Mario Party, but by the release of Mario Party 8 and DS, which were both in 2007, the series was kind of on the decline. I mean, these games have always had mixed reviews, but Mario Party had this strength where its flaws were often part of what made the experience fun. The fact that it could sometimes feel incredibly rigged against you was exciting. The way that all 4 players can groan in frustration at an event, or scream at the screen from an unbalanced minigame, or for grudges to form from stars being stolen. The inclusion of luck gave everyone a chance to win, yet there was just enough skill and strategy to be the deciding factor in most games. But even among those who had previously liked the formula, things were getting stale. Also, Mario Party 8 looked really weird for some reason, and I imagine that freaked people out a bit. I mean, even now it's still a bit off-putting. In fact, it freaked me out so much that I've managed to end up inside of Mushroom Park from Mario Party 10. You might be wondering how I got into this situation, which would be a really stupid question to ask because I just told you how. Start paying more attention next time. It's still weird to just make one Mario Party on the Wii, right? The Wii was a party machine. It was one of the most successful and accessible consoles at the time, thanks to the capabilities of the controller. You could play with it like an NES controller, or like a TV remote, or with motion controls. The possibilities for minigames and mechanics were greater than ever before. And at the same time, the DS was also pulling in a huge audience of new players and showed that it was capable of running a complete Mario Party game on the handheld, taking advantage of the dual screens, touchscreen, and microphone. So why was there such a long gap between mainline games? Hudson Soft had some financial troubles in the early 2000s and allowed a huge chunk of itself to be purchased by the larger video game developer and publisher Konami to make up for it. As the years went by, the companies became closer and closer together, going on more dates and stuff. And in the early 2010s, Konami just purchased Hudson Soft outright, absorbing the studio into the company. So Mario Party's main developer just doesn't really exist anymore. And you can't make new Mario Parties if you don't exist. Trust me, I've tried. As this process was happening, Nintendo realized they were going to need a new developer for the Mario Party series. And who to step up to the plate other than ND Cube? Who's ND Cube, you may be asking? Well, they are a joint venture founded in the year 2000 between Nintendo and one of Japan's biggest advertising firms. Thanks, Wikipedia. Though over time, Nintendo would buy more and more percent of the company until eventually they just became a subsidiary of Nintendo, even renaming themselves to Nintendo Cube in 2024. They made F-Zero on the GBA, then they made Tube Slider on the GameCube, which is actually just a reworking of a scrapped F-Zero game. It was released only in North America for some reason, and just a few months before the console's actual F-Zero game. Apparently it was mid, and D-Cube then decided to make absolutely nothing for about 7 years. Then, as Hudson Soft was being absorbed into Konami, many of its developers migrated to ND-Cube and finally made Wii Party in 2010. I don't know why ND-Cube was chosen specifically, maybe they just decided with DICE or something, I don't know. An attempt at a non-Mario Party game. I've never actually played Wii Party, so I can't say much about it. It also received mixed reviews, but that's just par for the course at this point. Wait a minute. A development studio making a somewhat mediocre party game on a Nintendo platform, where you move on a board using dice and play minigames with up to 4 players? Where have I seen that before? And Nintendo got that same idea too, because in spring 2012, Mario Party 9 released on the Wii, about half a year before the Wii U came out, developed by ND-Cube. This was my first Mario Party. In fact, for a very long time, this is what Mario Party was to me. I'm part of the generation that grew up on ND-Cube Mario Parties and owned pretty much every single Mario Party developed by them before I had any sort of exposure to the older Hudson Soft games at the tail end of the 2010s. I mean, by now, I've been able to play classic Mario Party for about as long as I was limited to the modern games, but as a result, I've gotten a pretty fair amount of experience with all the different gameplay styles that the series tried during this period. because NDCube took the criticism directed at Mario Party 8 and decided, okay then, we're new to this series and the players want something new, so we'll make something new. Because throughout the entire following console generation, the original Mario Party formula was fundamentally altered, not returning it to its original system until Super Mario Party in 2018. But in retrospect, this attempt at making something new didn't really work out. Even among the series that typically gets mixed reviews, the Mario parties made throughout the 2010s before Super were viewed at even worse, if not by critics, then at the very least by Mario Party fans. The 3DS games just threw everything at the wall to see what sticks, and honestly deserve a video of their own. But as for the console games of this period, 9 and 10, there was quite a bit of backlash for this new car mechanic that dominated the gameplay. Backlash that never really faded away when it came to discussions about this era of the series. And as someone who grew up with 9 and 10, I can 100% agree that while trying something new with the series is a respectable decision, the older games were definitely better. And the reversion back to the older style during the Switch era was absolutely warranted. But why is it that Mario Party 9 and 10 were looked upon so poorly, to the point where not even nostalgia can save this game's reputation? Why haven't I ever found a reason to replay these games until making this video? What went wrong with Mario Party 9 and 10? Hey look, it's the title of this video. That means you get to finish the history lesson and actually talk about the games now. Here we go. So, Mario Party 9. We've got a bit of a plot with this one. I mean, most Mario Party games tend to have some sort of simple story to explain why I'm currently getting my stars stolen from me right now. So, Mario's stargazing with his homies, and Bowser is so petty that he can't even allow that to happen, so now we gotta get the mini stars back. Yes, mini stars, which brings us to what makes Mario Party 9 so controversial, its changes to the main gameplay loop. So let's throw the entire system of collecting coins to buy stars out the window, because now we have mini stars to replace both of those collectibles. Mini stars are the only collectible in Mario Party 9 and the only deciding factor in who wins. They're given out along the board during special events and as the reward for winning minigames. They aren't even used to buy items at shops because shops don't even exist anymore. There is literally zero reason why you'd ever want to have less mini stars on your current turn compared to the one before, and it kind of simplifies the formula in a way that removes some of the strategy that came with Mario Party. And speaking of items, the wide variety that we've been able to choose from before has been reduced to just a few types of dice blocks. Since there are no shops, you gain these special dice from getting lucky with the spaces that you land on, and being dice blocks themselves, their usefulness is not guaranteed. All it can do is skew the odds in your favor a bit, but not actually ensure that they'll serve their intended purpose. The only one that I really like is the 0-1 dice block, because the idea of an item that can intentionally stall your turn is actually a really good one, and I want to see it return in a future game. And what makes these special dice blocks even more disappointing is that none of them can directly affect your opponents. All dice blocks can only affect your own roll, meaning that the majority of what happens to your opponents is completely out of your control. Except, you do have a bit of influence on your opponents during the game. I don't mean control, just influence. Because in Mario Party 9, you've decided to go on a road trip. Yes, we've arrived at the car, the most infamous aspect of this game. Being able to move around the board independently is no more, because now everyone moves together in this vehicle. The position on the board that you will be rolling from is entirely dependent on the rolls that your opponents made before you, not your own decisions, and the boards are linear too. Instead of a limited number of turns before the game is over, the boards have a start and end, with guaranteed events along the way, most of which are luck-based. Sometimes it's just luck for luck's sake, such as a majority of the very rare split paths in this game, and others give an advantage to whichever player reached the space first, such as with the captain events. But that's just, again, another luck factor, because everything that happens on the board is almost entirely decided by dice rolls rather than player choice anyway, so it's actually even the point of trying here. I'm not gonna wait until the end of the video to say it. What went wrong with Mario Party 9 and especially 10 is that the addition of the car and the change to a linear board style was a fundamentally bad one. Just the sheer concept of the players moving together takes away so much individual control that the game becomes not just frustrating but also boring. Like, I know that I don't have much choice over what happens here, so why even bother to pay attention to the screen rather than just mash the A button until the next minigame comes up? It doesn't matter if the boards have interesting mechanics such as rolling low to make sure that a bomb doesn't blow up on your turn to avoid losing half your mini stars, or staying in front of or behind a Boo to avoid losing half your mini stars, or trying to outpace rising lava to avoid losing half your mini stars. Okay, this game really likes to take away half of your mini stars. And it's not like the boards can't have any fun moments at all. Like this one time where we just kept landing on the same Bowser spaces over and over because of a single backspace constantly sending us in an endless loop right before the end of the board. But again, all of these things happening are completely out of the control of any players. It's really a shame that Mario Party 9 ended up this way, that the car mechanic was as flawed as it was, because pretty much the entire rest of the game besides the boards almost redeems it? Yes, I think that everything else in Mario Party 9 is so good that it saves this game from actually being bad in my eyes. The side content absolutely came in clutch here, so let's talk about it. The minigames are some of the best in the series hands down. A perfect variety of skill, strategy, and luck. Some of my absolute favorites in the entire series come from Mario Party 9, such as Chain Event, Don't Look, and Ballistics. The latter of which I am absolute god tier at, by the way. I'm not quite sure what it is about this particular game's selection of minigames that makes it so good. I can't think of a single one that I don't like, not even one. The amount of minigames that are mostly based on luck rather than skill or strategy is pretty low, especially compared to something like Mario Party Island Tour. The only nitpicks I have with the minigames is that there are no 2v2s, which is a pretty notable absence, and that minigames don't happen as much as I'd like them to since they aren't guaranteed after every turn anymore. Some of the new types of minigames here do make up for those issues though. Having to work together with one other player in the Bowser Jr. minigames almost makes up for the lack of traditional 2v2s. And then there's the boss minigames. One of the few benefits of the more linear board structure is the justification for mini-bosses and main bosses based on the themes of the board. These minigames have much larger prize pools, so you really want to win them. And the minigames themselves are fantastic. They take excellent advantage of having a longer game with 2 phases, and the final blow bonus adds a hint of extra strategy on top of whatever you have to do in the minigame itself. The only one I really don't like is Bowser Jr. Breakdown because, come on guys, that's just rolling a dice! I thought we had saved this pure luck stuff for the boards. Of course, Mario Party 9 is going to make use of motion controls and the pointer, because it's on the Wii, so duh. And I know that not everyone is a fan of motion controls, but luckily for us, they're implemented perfectly here. The motions are very intuitive and responsive, which is better than Mario Party 8 where they can sometimes feel a bit heavy or slow, I guess? Maybe that's just me. What might also just be a me thing that Mario Party 9 has over 8 is that 9 doesn't look freaking creepy. 9's visuals are based off of the new Super Mario Bros. Art style, which might have gone on to be a bit overdone by the end of the Wii U era, but at this point in 2012, they were still very refreshing over the mismatch of styles we got in the GameCube era. Perhaps I just like seeing World 6's environment in a game other than New Super Mario Bros. Wii. And when Mario Party 9 does try more unique environments that you don't see in the New Soup games, they look great as well. Bob-omb Factory doesn't look out of place with the rest of the boards at all, even though a factory level was never done in any of the New Soups, and it really should have, by the way. And the music. Oh my god, the music. Mario Party isn't really known for having the best soundtracks in the world, which makes Mario Party 9 stand out that much more because these songs are so good and so slept on. The music for the minigames themselves are great, as are the boards. Hell, even the menus have some great tunes. Bowser Jr. Breakdown may be a pretty unfun luck minigame, but that second phase is just wow. And speaking of second phase themes, the mini bosses might just have a better song than the main bosses. Now You've Done It might just be the best song in the Mario Party series ever. I said it, the best song in the series ever. Who composed this game? These two wonderful people? I hope both sides of your pillow are cold tonight. I hope your USB cable plugs in correctly on the first attempt. I hope your toast always lands butter side up. I hope your earbuds never tangle. I hope your pens never run out of ink. I hope autocorrect always knows exactly what you're trying to say. I hope every traffic light you encounter is green when you get there. I hope your flight always departs on time. I hope every sticker you peel off leaves 0 residue behind. I hope the rest of your day is awesome. Is that enough? I think that's enough. There's plenty of extra modes as well, and most of them are pretty good. One that I always appreciate in a Mario Party game is the single player mode. You gotta do something for the players that have no friends, right? This game's solo mode is pretty expansive, having you go through all 6 main boards while making sure to prevent certain opponents from winning. So it's alright if Luigi's happy, but the moment Shy Guy even looks at a mini-star, you get taken out back. The solo mode also takes advantage of the varying player counts. You'll end up facing off against only Shy Guy and Boo's Horror Castle, and in the last 2 boards, you're basically in a 2v1 against both Shy Guy and Kamek. The solo mode actually gets pretty hard too, though I unfortunately feel like it's because of the boards being too luck-based rather than a high skill requirement. That's not really the solo mode's fault as much as it is the board design, but we've already talked about that. Most of the side modes are different variations on playing minigames. As I said before, the minigames in Mario Party 9 are pretty good, so this ends up overall being a good thing. There's, of course, free play, which tells you which minigames you've already played, which is a really nice quality of life feature. There's also a bunch of different modes that basically boil down to win minigames to decide who gets the most influence in the mode's point gaining mechanic. Even if they all end up being pretty similar, the fact that they are here at all is really appreciated. There's also a time attack that redesigns 10 minigames to work entirely in single player and be focused on completing them as fast as possible, with bonus objectives to cut down on your total time. And a boss rush, which is exactly what it sounds like. Pretty much all things that you do in this game earns you party points, which can be spent to the museum on cool things. There's constellations to view, parts of the soundtrack, new vehicle skins, as well as some actual gameplay features to unlock. There's a short 7th board revolved around Donkey Kong, a master difficulty for computer players, staff times to beat in the time attack, and the previously mentioned boss rush game mode. But wait, there's still more to do via the extras menu. Castle Clear Out is a color matching puzzle game, which some Mario parties just seem to have for some reason. It's, like, really easy. Just footage of me trying to lose and taking forever to do so. There's Shell Soccer, which is still called Shell Soccer in the European version of the game. Let's go USA! Goomba Bowling has an extended version, and at this point it's basically Wii Sports Bowling with less responsive motion controls. And lastly, there's Perspective Mode. Have you ever wanted to know what it's like to really look at Yoshi up close? Well, now you can in 10 minigames with an adjusted camera to make them harder. But it doesn't matter what Nintendo does, I will still be the best at ballistics. I dare you to challenge me. And that's Mario Party 9. This game frustrates me, because, man, it had such an awful change to the gameplay formula, one too fundamental to ignore. But I think it's able to make up for it with everything else surrounding the main game. Like, the minigames and side modes are so strong here that I can totally understand why I was able to enjoy this as my first Mario Party game. Also, being a dumb 5-year-old probably helped as well, but whatever. What's most important in the end is this. Is Mario Party 9 a fun game? Yes. I don't believe that the car mechanic was able to ruin this game completely. Speeding bullets is just too good. And besides, we already had a traditional Mario Party game on the Wii. Mario Party 8's right there. With those circumstances, it was totally justifiable for NDCube to try something new with the formula for their first game in the series. Even if it didn't turn out so well, that's okay. We've now learned from this experience and can confidently go back to the way things were before. Ahem. We can confidently go back to the way things were before. I said! Mario Party 10, released in March 2015 on the Wii U, is the only time in the series that only one Mario Party was released for a home console, and it's just the car again in HD! No! Everything I've said before about the car and its problems still stand here, but now it's even worse. Many of my problems with this game come from the little things, such as backspaces no longer activating the space you went backwards to, or how the turn order is always the same cycle at the start of the game, only changing where the cycle begins. That's so weird to me. Every other game in the series decides the turn order with dice, yet this one decides to be just a bit less interesting with a roulette that no one even gets to press a button for. The locations of the boards are less interesting. The best one in terms of originality is Haunted Trail, and the best in terms of visuals is Airship Central. I just really like the orange coloring in the skies and clouds. Though generally, they tend to heavily lean on New Super Mario Bros. U as an aesthetic, similarly to how Mario Party 9 leaned on Mario Wii. Perhaps the sentiment isn't as strong as it was during that era, but I would have really liked to see some more original locations than just Mario U levels. I mean, at least Mario Party 9 had a bomb factory and a space station. 10 has an amusement park and just being underwater, I guess. And on top of this, Mario Party 10 has only 5 boards. What? I can keep going. There's no announcer for some reason. This mechanic where Bowser appears and steals half your mini-stars if you roll every number on the dice block is almost completely luck-based and just random. This game really likes to take half your mini-stars in general, maybe even more than Mario Party 9 did. The minigame explanation screen wastes all this space while the instructions need to slowly scroll over the demo video. Ties in minigames are broken by dice rolls. We just can't have everyone be happy after all. The music isn't as strong here. There are still some good songs, but it doesn't feel nearly as energetic as Mario Party 9's soundtrack did, as if not even the game itself is excited for the mini-boss. Speaking of which, the boss minigames are kinda bland. There's less of them, and most just have the boss stand there and take hits like a good boy, while all you do is just repeat the same loop of climbing up and jumping back down over and over and over again. Now let's take a break from all that complaining and talk about some of the improvements I think this game has over Mario Party 9. The game's visuals, despite having a bland aesthetic, do look really nice. I mean, they better look good if you've only got 5 boards to show them in. There's an achievement system now, as well as this photo booth thing you can mess around with. Oh, that's where I am. They traded in Bowser Jr. minigames for 2v2 minigames. There are more dice blocks to use. There are almost no luck-based minigames. A watered-down version of Chance Time returns. And that's it. Okay, back to complaining now. We can't forget about this big new feature that's all over the box. Bowser Party. Bowser Party is pretty cool, actually. I like this one. Basically, a 5th player is Bowser, and he chases down the other 4 players. If he catches them, a Bowser minigame is played where Mario and Co. can lose hearts. If the 4 players run out of hearts, Bowser wins. If the 4 players make it to the end of the board, Bowser loses. This idea takes great advantage of the linear nature of the boards, and it allows for a Mario Party game with 5 players. Whoa! It's not perfect, though. There are only 10 Bowser minigames, and most of them are either heavily skewed for or against Bowser. Also, I had said earlier how Mario Party 10 has very few luck minigames. This seems to be where they all went. And as for the board itself, Bowser is way too overpowered. He can make it all the way to the players on the first turn no matter what they do, and once Bowser does catch the players, it's almost impossible to outrun him for the rest of the game. At least, not in any skill-based manner. It'll only happen with a lot of luck, and when that's the case, the player who's Bowser spends the whole game doing basically nothing. Because when you're playing as Bowser, there isn't as much for you to do as you may think. Hey look, I can draw graffiti to trick the players into selecting the wrong chest. Even though it's completely luck-based from the player's perspective, and I can't really do anything to trick computer players, so do I really have control here? What baffles me the most is that Bowser Party is only playable on 3 boards. 3? Really? I think they're just taking away content for fun. Overall though, Bowser Party is probably still the best part of the game. I guess the bar was just set that low by the main mode. Oh yeah, there's also Amiibo Party. You know, if you're gonna lock one of the 3 major modes on the title screen behind a paywall, could it at least not be a botched simplification of the original Mario Party formula on one tiny board, no split paths, and almost zero strategy? Please? No? Okay. There's not much to do outside of this. I said before how I really appreciated all the side modes in Mario Party 9, and I still think I took them for granted. We've got 2 modes that are just win the most minigames. Badminton, literally just badminton. Less gameplay unlocks in the shop compared to Mario Party 9. Less cool stuff in the shop in general, actually. Another matching puzzle game like in Mario Party 9, but this time it has physics, so it's different. 2, count them, 2 minigames where you beat up Bowser Jr. by yourself, and a score attack mode where you play all 10 Bowser minigames as Bowser and try to steal the most arts from the computer players. And that's all there is. Mario Party 10 disappoints me so much. Instead of properly building on 9's strengths, it doubled down on its weaknesses. And worst of all, I was bored while playing this. At least 9 didn't leave me scrolling on my phone when it wasn't my turn because nothing was happening. And even when things do happen, it's not even all that interesting. Most of this game might as well be a roulette where you press a button to slow it down a little bit. But hey, at least there's Bowser. Glad to get that all out of my system. Knowing that we'd eventually return to the older formula in hindsight makes these 2 games much more acceptable in my eyes, but it could not have saved them completely. They help mark what could be considered by many to be the closest thing to a dark age that the Mario series has come to, where everything looked the same and the games were overall uninteresting. But while the new soups could be considered bland today, at least they had good gameplay to fall back on. The Mario Kart still had stellar track design during this time. Mario Sports? Well, they were struggling, I can't say much good about that one. But I'd say that the Mario Party games that released during this time were the best examples of why we all cheered like we won a world war when the Switch was announced. The Wii U era was rough for a lot of Nintendo franchises, and Mario Party was no different. Mario Party 9 did the best that it could with a bad hand for a central mechanic. Mario Party 10 feels like it gave up. So what went wrong with these 2 games? Well, I'm not really sure how to end this video, so I'm just gonna repeat it one more time. It was the car, it was absolutely the car.